Jewish noises!
As for materialistic atomism, it is one of the best refuted things there are, and perhaps no scholar in Europe is still so unscholarly today as to accord it serious significance except for handy everyday use, as an abbreviated means of expression. Thanks above all to Pole Boscovich, who, together with the Pole Copernicus, has been the greatest and most triumphant opponent of the ocular evidence hitherto. For while Copernicus persuaded us to believe, contrary to all senses, that the earth does not stand firm, Boscovich taught us to abjure belief in the last thing of earth that stood firm, belief in substance in matter, in the earth residuum, and the particle atom. It was the greatest triumph over the senses hitherto achieved on earth. One must, however, go still further and also declare war, a remorseless war of the knife, on the atomistic need, which, like the more famous metaphysical need, still goes on living a dangerous afterlife in regions where no one suspects it. One must also first of all finish off that other and more fateful atomism which Christianity has taught best and longest, the soul atomism. Let this expression be allowed to designate that belief which regards the soul as being something indestructible, eternal, indivisible, as monad, as an atomism. This belief...
By the way, the monad is literally just means God. It's Gnostics literally refer to God as the monad.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that wasn't a term. I guess monotheism, monad, maybe it's kind of got the same root there, because it's the one, right? Because God...
Monad.
Yeah, anyway, this belief ought to be ejected from science. I mean, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with believing in the soul. The soul is just something intangible that can't really be observed. That's, again, separating out the speculative from the rational, I think that is something that we all do in our own ways, for different things,
I do think, though, that, the concept of the soul scientifically shouldn't be considered an objective because it isn't physically provable. I think that the soul shouldn't be scientifically considered objective because
cool.
It's not.
I just wanted to make sure.
Provable.
I want to make sure I understood because I thought you said should be and then said because it isn't, and I'm like, what? But no, you said it shouldn't be. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, that's why I say there's the speculative and there's the rational, right? The observable and the inobservable. So.
Mm-hmm. That's why, I think the concept of Christian Science is kind of ridiculous, because science already has Christian origins, but it's obviously become its own thing.
Right, and here's the thing, for me, a lot of stuff with, the soul and stuff like that, I definitely think that there is a soul, but a lot of that is based strictly on feelings and ties and observations which are at best circumstantial. Between ourselves, it is not at all necessary by that same act to get rid of the soul itself, and thus forgo one of the oldest and most venerable of hypotheses, as it is often the way with clumsy naturalists, who can hardly touch the soul without losing it. But the road... So he's saying, you don't have to get rid of the soul, you just have to remove it from science, is what he's saying.
Which I can agree with.
Yeah. But the road to new forms and refinements of the soul hypothesis stands open, and such conceptions as the mortal soul and soul as multiplicity of the subject, and soul as social structure of the drives and emotions, want henceforth to possess civic rights in science. To be sure, when the new psychologist puts an end to the superstition which was hitherto flourished around the soul idea, with almost tropical luxuriance, he has, as it were, thrust himself out into a new wilderness and a new mistrust. It may be that the older psychologists had a merrier and more comfortable time with it. Ultimately, however, he sees that, by precisely that act, he has also condemned himself to inventing the new, and who knows, perhaps finding it. All right, now 13. Psychologists should think again before postulating the drive of self-preservation as the cardinal drive in organic being. As a living thing desires above all to vent its strength, life as such is will to power. Self-preservation is only one of the indirect and most frequent consequences of. I disagree. I think self-preservation is everything at your core.
Yeah, I think self-preservation is the most important thing.
Like, it is literally your core. So I disagree that he says that it's only a consequence of life rather than the core of it.
Mm-hmm.
In short, here as everywhere, beware of superfluous teleological principles, such as is the drive to self-preservation. We owe it to Spinoza's inconsistency. For this is the requirement of method, which is essentially to be economy of principles. Alright, 14. It is perhaps just dawning on 5 or 6 minds that physics, too, is only an interpretation and arrangement of the world, according to our own requirements, if I may say so, and not an explanation of the world. Well, I think physics is an explanation of the world. Like, I mean, it is... Again,
yeah, it literally is.
Like, sure, it's an interpretation, but by that logic, literally nothing could be fucking, like...
Well, there's probably a reason he ended up a gibbering idiot.
Like, what is an explanation if not channeled through our interpretation, right?
Mm-hmm. Literally, Nietzsche's last words were, "Mother, I'm stupid."
That's funny. Anyway, and not an explanation of the world, but insofar as it is founded on the belief in the senses, it passes... The senses are how you fucking interact with the world.
Yeah.
like, I think that the world is objectively there, that's obviously true, but your senses is how you can observe that.
Yeah.
In the eyes... sorry, hold on, let's see, where was I? Founded on the belief in senses, it passes for more than that, and must continue to do so for a long time to come. It has the eyes and hands on its side. It has the ocular evidence and palpability on its side. And it has this effect of fascinating, persuading, convincing an age with fundamentally plebeian tastes. For it instinctively follows the canon of the eternal popular sensualism. What is obvious? What has been explained? Only that which can be seen and felt. Thus far has every problem to be scrutinized. Obversely, it was precisely in opposition to palpability that the charm of the Platonic mode of thinking. Now, granted, like, look, I don't deny that there are things that you can misperceive, right? Like, obviously our perceptions are flawed.
Yeah.
But it sounds to me like he's just coming short of don't believe your lying eyes, which is bullshit.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he's a subjectivist.
Right.
He's a believer in hybridism.
We should have hybrid here when we're doing shit like this at some point.
Yes. I would love to have hybrid here. Oh, wait, we should be doing this in general chat. Are we in general chat?
No, we're not. We're on a call.
We should be in general.
Do we want to switch over?
Yeah.
Alright, let's switch over. What are you reading and wearing? We are reading Friedrich Nietzsche's Beyond Good and Evil. And what I'm wearing is none of your damn business. It's just as much your business as the girl farting in the tub is Corbin's business. Although that actually was our business because she did it on stream.
Yeah. Yeah, I do be...
No, but I'm wearing a gray shirt and pajama bottoms. There you go. Now you know. The mystery revealed. You sick bastard. By
the way, we were at the
Platonic mode of thinking.
Yeah.
I kept track. Which was a noble mode of thinking, consisted on the part of men who perhaps rejoiced in even stronger and more exacting senses than our contemporaries possess, but who knew how to experience a greater triumph in mastering them, which they did by means of pale, cold, gray conceptual nets thrown over the motley whirl of the senses. The mob of the senses, as Plato called them. This overcoming and interpretation of the world in the manner of Plato involved a kind of enjoyment different from that which the physicists of today offer us, or from that offered by the Darwinists. Remember when you used the term Darwinist and that one guy fucking chimped out? He's like, that's a term only used by creationists. It's like, no, it literally isn't.
Yeah, it's literally just the technical term.
Nietzsche just used the fucking term, and he's super atheist.
Well, he's not necessarily atheist. He conceptualizes God in many different ways.
Yeah, okay, but I wouldn't call him a creationist, would you?
Yeah, he's well, like I said, he's like subjectivist. He doesn't fucking know what he believes.
Beyond Good and Evil, the Dreamcast game? I mean, maybe that's where it got... I mean, it clearly took its name from this, right?
I mean, yeah, it obviously got its name from that.
Anyway, Darwinists and anti-teleologists among the laborers in physiology. With their principle of the smallest possible effort and the greatest possible stupidity, where man has nothing more to see or grasp, he has nothing more to do. That is certainly a different imperative from the Platonic. You know, here's a question, right? Why the fuck has Platonic become associated with, like, the opposite of romantic?
I don't know.
Like, when it comes to love, right? Like, you have platonic friends.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me.
Did Plato talk about the nature of relationships in a way that was opposed to the concept of romantic love, or...?
I mean, not as far as I'm aware. But, to be fair, I haven't, like, read much of Plato.
Right. And the greatest possible stupidity. Where man has nothing more to see or grasp, he has nothing more to do. That is certainly a different imperative from the Platonic. Okay, so I went a little back, but it's fine. But for an uncouth, industrious race of machinists and bridge builders of the future, I think machinists and machinists are both correct, and I don't know which I prefer. Because I said machinists, but I'm like, is that how I want to say it, you know?
Yeah, I think machinist sounds better.
Yeah. And bridge builders of the future, which has nothing but coarse work to get through. It may well be the right one.
You want to read 15?
I can do 15 and then you take over with 16. How's that?
Okay. 16 looks long as hell, though. Yeah, but I will.
Well, I mean, you weren't just going to do 15 and then jump and then stop.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That's why I'm like, I'll do this next short one. You know what I mean?
Someone by the name of Rabid Waffles, who I actually know about because I did a video responding to one of their videos 2 years back, which we will explain later. They comment, Valerie Flowers is the best YouTuber. I'm his biggest fan. He really entertains me with his videos. What a guy.
Hilarious and original. Hilarious and original.